Hey, what's going on, guys? Heart Pirates TCG here. I'm bringing you a guide on how to beat not Sakazuki, Whitebeard. I made this a few months ago, but people have been asking me to make like an updated version because this version of Whitebeard does play a lot different than the last version of Whitebeard. So I'll go ahead and explain that, and then I have two videos that I would like to put out there for you guys from my locals. It's the same person. I played him once for practice, and then in the tournament I actually played him in the second to last round, I believe. So yeah, I'll show you that. So let me transition to that. Boom. All right. So Whitebeard, pretty hard to beat, right? It's just 6 at life the deck, right? You have these 4 cards right here that are their early, mid, and late game pretty much, right? You have the Sanji, the Zoro, Ace, and Luffy. Now you can only play around one of them, which is the Sanji. And by playing around it, I mean you just can't have a 5,000 attack character or higher on the board. So that is an option, right? So if you don't have one, you're technically playing around Sanji, right? But let's just say you do have it, right? There's only 3 ways of beating Whitebeard. There is attacking at very wide, like 6k, 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 right? Both of the laws can do that. Decks like Zoro can do that. Decks like, funny enough, Enel can kind of do that too if they go Ohm Holy, because then they can go 3 6s with the leader. 3 6 is a bad number. Oof. They can go 6 3 times with the leader. I guess it's bad either way you say it. And they're 2 characters. You know, just put 1 of each on there, or 2 of each on there, and go 3 7s. So that's an option as well. So that's one way of beating him. And then you have the way of outlasting them, right? Enel, funny enough, can also kind of do that, right? With just gaining life over and over again. Queen can do that. Decks like Rosinante can do that. Just anything that's like a stall deck almost. Like I'm trying to think of like even more stall decks in the game. I can't really think of any stall, like there's stall decks, right? It may be like none that are coming to mind right now, but like Rosinante, anything that plays like 8 cost kid, really, that like revolves around it. Just decks like that. That's the second way of beating him. And then the third way of beating them is just to remove the cards that they have on curve. That's why Crocodile was so good into Whitebeard back in the day, last format, was because every card that you played either bounced them to hand or bottom deck the card to the bottom of their deck. And then you establish bodies on top. Sorry guys, bodies on top of bouncing, right? You would play like Sogeking and then Mihawk and then like maybe Mihawk again, or 3000 Worlds, or even Sentomaru back then was just really good because it didn't remove bodies, but it kept establishing 6k bodies that could just keep going wide every turn and taking cards out of their hand, right? So those are the 3 ways. I'll repeat them again. It's outlast them, go really wide against Whitebeard, and then remove everything they have on the board, right? Pretty much every deck has access to some version of that. Except for obviously the non-meta decks, and those just don't beat Whitebeard. It's just that simple. Not every deck can beat Whitebeard. Those don't really. So that's that, right? For you to be able to do anything against Whitebeard, though, you need to see your 2Ks. If you don't see your 2Ks, you're going to lose every single time, unless you're Enel and you can just keep getting life over and over again. Or Queen or something like that. But even Queen, like, you have to get lucky. So you have to see your 2Ks. If you don't see your 2Ks, you're going to lose every single time. All right? And then the trick to beating Whitebeard is no matter what style of deck you're playing, you always attack into their characters if they have life left. And if they don't have life left, you pretty much always attack into their life. By doing this, you are forcing them to either get rid of cards out of hand or get rid of pressure on the board by attacking their characters. And when you attack their life instead of their characters when they have 0 life, you are forcing them to react to you. They can't just like, oh, I'll conserve my resources and let this Luffy die. No, you have to counter out of this or you will die. It's that simple. And you are forcing them to have counters in hand. And if they don't, if they miscount their Dawn or whatever it is, they just don't have counter, they'll lose every time. They're not going to let their character go. They will die every time, right? That's how you beat them, right? And then you have like they have some mid-game options too. So depending on the version that they play, the first turn for Whitebeard is always going to be either a Izo or a Nami search. And then the second turn is going to be 6 at life and then put 3 Dawn. Unless they have Zoro, they're going to do 6 at life and then put 3 Dawn on either one of their searchers and swing for 5, or they're going to play Zoro and attack for 5. It's just that simple. They're going to do it every single time. All right. And then you have their mid game, which versus some decks, they opt to play this instead of the more rush version, right? So you're either going to have Atmos or Luffy, like the film one, depending on if they're playing Strawbeard or Purebeard, basically. And then this is going to be either Atmos or Luffy, and then they're going to have Marco. Marco's good for popping, like if you play Rebecca too early, if you play, I don't know, like any type of, if you're playing against Zoro, they'll probably play this over any of these. Just every time. This is just for like decks that you don't need to really like rush down. They can just play like the more like traditional style of Whitebeard. All right. So you have to keep in mind that they still play Marco. Some of them play Vista too. And then you have their end game, which is Newgate, Marco, and Radbeam. Now I will say, if you are worried about them dropping Newgate over and over again, the best way to counter out of that is if they have no blockers out on the field, or just like maybe 1 Dawn up. If you have like a really big swing and you're not really doing anything else that for the rest of the turn, you could swing pretty tall on a character to force them to either take the life and avoid this Whitebeard play, or counter out with a bunch of cards in hand, and then this Whitebeard is just less effective because then you can just do it again next turn, right? Or with less Dawn. Usually, though, if you put them in this weird position, Whitebeard, what they'll do is if they know they're going to be playing the Newgate, you'll start understanding that they're going to be playing Newgate like 2 turns before they play Newgate. Because if they're countering out of like 1 or 2 things, then like, especially if you're like a slow deck, like if they're countering out of like cards, like a Nell attacking for 6k or like Holy attacking for 7k, if they counter out of that, they're almost certainly going to be dropping back-to-back Whitebeards. And you know that because they want to be at a relatively healthy life count when they use Newgate. That way it makes it way harder for you to kill them, and then they have a lot more time to kill you with Newgate, essentially, or back-to-back Newgates, or even triple Newgates if they play it, right? That's the strategy. That's basically how you beat Whitebeard. You just try to survive pretty much their early game by either going wide, removing their board, or outlasting them, and in the late game you swing attack anywhere from 8k to 10k. If you can attack for 10k, I would normally do that because it forces them to use their Radbeam in hand and like another card. If you do 8k, they're just going to Radbeam or guard point if they play it, or even block it with Marco. Just depends. If they have a Marco, don't swing that tall. Just keep swinging like medium size, because eventually they're going to run out of 2ks or 1ks, and then they're going to be just using their Radbeams on like a 7 or an 8k. So if they have Radbeam, if they have a Marco out and they have like 2 Dawn up, don't swing 16 at life because they'll just block with Marco and avoid using any cards in hand. Just keep going medium-sized hits until they just run out of resources. If they block with Marco early and you have a bunch of weak characters, it's better to just keep swinging at the Marco over and over again, because it forces them to get rid of cards out of their hand either way, and it's easier to attack into a 5,000, which is Marco, than it is a 6,000 with Newgate. So that's the strategy behind it. Not really a whole lot to it. I'm going to go to the gameplay now, and I'm going to commentate over 2 games that I did a pretty good job of with Sakazuki, and we'll show you exactly how I executed it in real life. So, hey guys, as I said in the previous section of the video, this is one of my games. I'm not sure if this is the one in the tournament, or, oh, this is the one in the tournament, because I did lose the dice roll and went first. I discarded my Hina, which is the go-to card to discard for Sakazuki effect, and I drew into a card. He draws into Nami. I'm pretty sure he drew in about 20 Namis this game, guys. I had to double check his deck because I wanted to make sure he didn't have 25 different searchers in his deck, because it was ridiculous. I mean, he drew Nami into Izo, and I'm pretty sure he drew like another like 2 of them later on, and it was just very scary. So with the Nami, I think what did he search, guys? I wasn't paying attention, but I was paying attention in the tournament. He searches for the Newgate, which he says was a mistake later on because he had an option to grab Jozu. I mean, the thing is, like, when you see Newgate, a lot of times it's like, yeah, you want to search for it either way. I don't think this deck ever really got full powered Whitebeard, so you know, when you see that shiny card in your search options, you usually get them. I go ahead and swing 8 at life here. Not really a great start for me. I didn't see a brand new. I discard the Kaido because I didn't think I was really going to be playing it too much. you know, especially because my hand was looking a little bricky, you know, at the start. So I was like, I got to start discarding cards I don't think I'm going to be using, especially because I don't really have a whole lot of counter in hand, just like my last video, right? So he swings 5 at life. Like I said, they're always going to do that. They're either going to play Zoro or swing 5 at life. Then he really shocks me because he plays Makino and also, and I only have a Rebecca in hand, which I need to save just in case I have some type of plays. And I trigger into Great Eruption, and mine was clogging super hard, so I say I trigger it, and I say discard a card. I mean, I don't know, maybe it wasn't the greatest choice to do, but I already had, I think, 2 other ones in hand, and I have so much cost reduction in my hand. I'm just trashing Ice Ages now because I need to get to like something of substance here. And I think for a little bit here, and it's just not a good, like, I don't have any good plays here. If I had had a Borsalino, I would have played the Borsalino, but unfortunately I did not. So I'm thinking for a little bit, and I'm like, God, I don't want to make the wrong play here. Is it too early to play Hina, especially because what if he has Marco, but I'm sorry, Rebecca, but I'm pretty sure I need to grab, I swing 5 at the Izo, and then he lets it die, and then he needs to grab, yep, I play the Rebecca, just making sure I have the right memory here. And then I grab a Barto to hand, I'm pretty sure, because I just don't have a lot of counter, and that's pretty much the only thing that I can do is just grab Barto. I'm double checking my hand, and I'm like, do I just want to grab the Hina just to grab pressure? But I'm like, no, it doesn't matter. And then I'm like, yeah, just go ahead and I'll just pass, I think. Or no, I'll play Mancherry and Mancherie. I'm gonna try to call it Mancherie because it's more fun to say that way. And I play Mancherie just because, I mean, obviously he could have like Fire Fist or something like that, or well, he can't play Fire Fist now. He can't use its full effect. We could have Marco, but that way he has to choose between the Mancherie and the Rebecca. However, I shouldn't have done that. I should not have done that because this actually, playing Mancherie a turn early has cost me a game later on in this tournament, and I'm gonna stop doing that. I know it's better for Dawn efficiency to be able to use all of your Dawn for the turn, but like playing it too early and then not being able to get its effect has actually cost me a game, and it cost me a winner card. So at that, I was actually super upset with myself when I did it in the finals, but of course I did in the finals because I did it here and nothing bad happened. So I got too cocky, I did a bad play, and I shouldn't have done that. So don't play Mancherie until it's time to use her effect, and you'll see why later on. So he swings 7 at my life here. I go ahead and block with the Rebecca. No point of not doing that. And then he goes ahead and plays a Marco, which I'm like, all right, I'll take a Marco. I'd rather you play Marco than Luffy, you know, or Sanji or something like that. Then I use my Sakazuki's effect to discard the extra Borsalino that I had. I already had another Borsalino, and then I bottom decked the Marco, and then I swing 5 at his life, and he's like, okay, I'll take that. Yeah, so like I said, I always do that, to be honest with you guys. Every time I have a 5k leader, I'm swinging into them every time, unless it's like, you know, then let's say like Dofi or something. If they have green, I don't do that because my character is gonna be rested, but for the funsies, I'll do that here. So now he's at, I believe it's what, 8 Dawn, because I think I'll be at 9 the next turn. Obviously you want to go second into Whitebeard, but since he won the dice roll, I did not get that opportunity to go second. He swings, I believe, 6 at my life here. I think he goes really tall here, or I'm sorry, really wide here. He swings 6, and then what does he do here? He rests 3 and swings. He goes 5 at life with Zoro, and I'm like, ooh, that's not good. Is that a Luffy? Is he gonna play Luffy? I don't know. And then I counter out with a what is it called? A Tsuru. And then he goes 5 at life with Zoro, and I'm like, I guess I'll take that one. I don't want to take too much. And I was like, oh, if he double Makinos me here, I'm screwed, right? Because obviously you counter out the ones you can counter out with, but I'm like, what are the odds he has 3 Makinos in hand and he's just going to double boost to 8k? Because that would just be absolutely devastating. But luckily he didn't do that, and my Mancherie lives to fight another day. And I'm checking my trash to make sure I have the right targets in mind. I use Great Eruption to -2 cost to the Zoro, and then I use my Mancherie effect to put Great Eruption and something I can't recycle back to my hand, Ice Age, and then I get the Rebecca from earlier in the game. And Rebecca, of course, is going to serve me very well because I'm going to be able to get the Hina that I trash in the first turn of the game pretty easily, I would say. And then I go, before I make any commitments on Dawn though, I want to make sure I clear the Zoros. So I go ahead and swing 8 into the Zoro, and he lets it go, which is great. And then I go ahead and do Houndblaze, bottom deck the Zoro, give my leader plus 3,000. So then I go 9 at his Zoro, or I'm sorry, at his life, because there's nothing else to go. And especially going 9 here is really helpful because now he can't play the Newgate that he searched earlier in this game. And then I play Rebecca. I go ahead and get, I believe, a 2k back. What did I get back, guys? I wasn't paying attention, but I believe it's a 2k because I just don't have a lot. Then he swings Nami into the Mon Cherit. Mon Cherit is dead. He is a goner. And then I believe he goes tall here because I think I block with... Oh, no, I'm pretty sure what he does here. Sorry, guys, sorry to spoil it, but I think he goes... what is it called? Fire Fist here, which is a very good tech card for Whitebeard. Definitely was not expecting it. Yeah, sorry, I just had to text someone real quick on Discord. So I think he's trying to do the math here. He's like, do I play the Whitebeard? Do I not? He taps the Dawn to play his third Nami. The only reason he didn't play 4 is because in his search earlier he bottom decked one of them. And Nami's good. Nami's a good card. Searches for, I believe, this Rad Beam I see in his hand. And I was getting a little concerned, to be honest with you guys. I was getting a little concerned just because obviously Whitebeard is a deck that can survive for a very long time. So if he's able to just outlast me, I only have a certain amount of cards in hand and 1 blocker and 1 life. So probably just, you know, he actually wins that grind late game because I just can't punch through. But now he has 9 Dawn left, and now he's deciding what he wants to do, how he wants to divvy up his Dawn. I believe he has a rush character here. I believe it's maybe not actually. I don't remember. So then he taps 2 to play the Fire Fist, and then he minuses 4,000 to the Borsalino. And Fire Fist's second effect is if you have 2 or less life, you pop a 0 power character on your opponent's side of the field, and which happens to be Rebecca. So ain't great one bit. And now I'm very worried here because I'm like, damn, I wanted to use that Borsalino to put in a lot of work next turn, but I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. I think I'm going to have to stall 1 more turn. Then he goes 10 into the Borsalino or 11 into the Borsalino. And I'm like, yeah, there's no way I'm going to discard that many counters to protect it, especially only at 1 life. So Borsalino is dead. He had to make sure that Borsalino died because if it didn't, then if Borsalino didn't die, then he was worried that I might be able to punch through. I discard the Ice Age. It's just not useful at this point of the game. And I go ahead and tap 2 Dawn for, I believe it's a Houndblaze. And then I bottom deck the Nami. And then I swing 12 at his life. 12 is a good number, guys, because it forces him to either use 2 Rad Beams or a Rad Beam and a guard point or a Rad Beam and something, right? So he goes ahead and uses a Rad Beam. And then he has a guard point in hand, but I don't know why he didn't use that instead of those 3. Like, he used 3 cards in hand rather than 4 cards, or 2 cards in hand. And then I go ahead and play a Borsalino, which I actually just drew for the first time this game, and I was like, this couldn't have come in more clutch. Now I'm in a pretty good spot here. And guys, this is how I said you're supposed to get rid of all the cards on the board and then just outlast them and swing for tall numbers multiple times in the end parts of the game. So now he's in a position where he has to be able to do a life, and the only way he's going to do that is if I let him take a life, because I have a little secret, guys. I have 6 2Ks in my hand. My entire hand is full of 2Ks, and I couldn't be more blessed. I could not be more. If you look at my hand like right now, hopefully I see it. I show it a little bit, but I have hella 2Ks. I got Tashigi onto Bart. It's just nasty. So he swings 9 at life, and I'm like, the reason I take this here, I divvy out his Dawn, and I'm like, okay, he's just gonna go 8 at life. That's totally fine. I take it because I'm like, if he plays Luffy, I don't mind him, or if he plays Luffy, I don't mind just countering out, because now I'm forcing him to use all of his Dawn. I mean, I guess he could leave 1 open. Oh, never mind. Yeah, he just plays the Luffy and then puts 2 Dawn on the Luffy and swings 8 at life. And he's like, do you got it? And I'm like, I got double Tashigi. And I do the math here, and he has 5 cards in hand and no Dawn Up. If I swing 10k, he has to use 3 cards in hand, meaning that he'll only have 2 cards in hand, and if I swing another 10k, he can only get 2 10k. So I do the math on that and just kind of just math him out of the game on this one. But I just want to like laugh real quick because this is I just had to do the math to make sure I was like I wasn't tripping here. No blockers, so I'm like, yeah, 5 at life is fine. So yeah, 10k. But anyway, guys, 10k here. I just want to show you my hand. It was so funny. He daps me up, and I'm like, this is my hand right here. They drew the Rebecca for turn, and I had hella 2ks, bro. He was not getting through, bro. He was not punching through. But yeah, that was that video. I'll show you the second gameplay. This one was just for fun because I didn't play another Whitebeard in the tournament, but I'll show you the second game that we played. This one was just like us practicing before the tournament started, so enjoy. All right, second video, part 2, a rematch of the Whitebeard. This is before the tournament started, so he is at 1 Dawn, of course, opens up the Ezo. They always open up the Ezo or the Nami every single time. And let's see what he finds on this one. I don't remember this game as much as I remember the other game, because the other game was just more memorable because of all the 2Ks in my hand. But I go to 2 Dawn, and a great start. Looks like I have the brand new this time, and it looks like I also win the dice roll because I go second, and then I trash 2 Rebecca's, which I don't like, and I grab a Borsalino. Rebecca is not a card you like to trash, even though you can get it back off of Moncherie. But yeah, it happens. Sometimes life just happens that way, guys. I'll say he swings 6 at life here, and then I go ahead and 2k out of this one. Then he goes 5 at life here with the Zoro, and I go ahead and take that one. Of course, they're just playing a bunch of rush characters and just trying to punch through. Use my leader effect to discard a Borsalino, which probably means I have another Borsalino. Then I go ahead and use Great Eruption to cost minus the Zoro to 1. And then, of course, if you do that, it means the Hound Blaze is coming out. So I'm going to be swinging 2 6s, 6 at life and 6 at life. And he's probably going to take one of them and discard another one. And guys, if you see him discard out two counters to get rid of it, it means he's probably playing Whitebeard, right? If he discards 2 cards to get rid of to counter out of 2 6k attacks, he's going to try to play Whitebeard. So you can kind of see that literally turn 2, right? Just depending on what he has. So that's just a good sign to look out for right there. He plays another Nami. This guy's got Namis for days, without a doubt. And ooh, he has a good option here. He has the 10k Luffy, and then he has the Rad Beam. He's playing the Super Rush version, by the way, guys. He's only playing the Luffy because he doesn't have another Shanks, I think he told me. But yeah, he's playing Shanks too. He's playing, I think, a 1-of Shanks. I think he's playing 1 Shanks and one Luffy. But obviously that Luffy would be Shanks if he had a second one. But he grabs 2 Rad Beams back to back with Nami, which isn't a great sign, right? I don't want to see my opponent search for 2 Rad Beams right in front of my eyes. The disrespect. So, of course, he does his normal thing of swinging 8, and then he swings. I take that one. Obviously, I'm not countering out of 8, and then he attacks into my Ezo. Or he attacks into my brand new with the Ezo, which I'm not going to counter out of that. I mean, it doesn't matter at all, even if it is a Blaze or a Hound Blaze target, because I got another one. Brand new right there is going to search for a Tsuru, and I'm going to trash a Moncherie, which I don't want to do either, because that's my only way of getting back the 2 Rebeccas I already trashed. And I play a Borsalino, and then I pass the blocker Borsalino, which is very critical in this matchup. It's a card that he can't get rid of with, you know, Jet Pistol if he has it, or I mean just anything. It's Borsalino, guys. Now his hand is full of events. Looks like he has a guard point, 2 Rad Beams. Looks like he has a Newgate in hand too. He goes ahead and swings 8 at my life. If I remember correctly, okay, never mind. He doesn't go 8 at life. He taps 1 to play a Nami first. I'm telling you guys, this guy's opened up hella Namis, bro. Hella Namis. I think he grabs the Zoro here, if I remember correctly. Or, no, the Bad Manners Kick Course, which probably either means that he has very few, like, tangible counters, like 2Ks or 1Ks, and he just has a lot of events, so that could probably help out later on. Then he puts 2 on Newgate, and I think I should just block this here, guys. I don't think it's worth, like, countering out. So I'm like, yeah, I'll just block it. I don't want to... Like, I need my 2Ks for later on when it comes to surviving, and he plays a Marco. Plus, I can just get him back with Rebecca if I ever need to. So I'm not really too concerned here. And I believe I Borsalino this one too. Yeah, Borsalino that one. I bottom deck it. I swing 6 at his life here. And then he gives me a Sanji. And then I go ahead and I think about using leader effect, but sometimes you just... Oh, never mind. I discard the Houndblaze, which is normally great into Whitebeard, but I think I already have another one. And I think I needed to find cost minusing, because at that point, I don't think I had any. So sometimes if you have 2 Houndblaze, or you know, I don't know what else I had in my hand, but sometimes it's more important to discard a card you have 2 of to find something you need to find 1 of, you know. Sometimes you have to make that tough choice, even though Houndblaze is normally pretty good, just because the power boost. It's not just the removal in this sense. So he's swinging 7 at my life here, and I think I counter out of this one too. And the reason I do that, guys, is because life is such a huge buffer against Newgate. If you have 2 life, you're like relatively healthy, but I don't counter out of that, so disregard everything I'm saying. My deepest, sincerest apologies. He goes 7 at life after playing the Sanji, and then this is where I counter out with a 2k and a 1k. So I'm back at 1 life, and let's see what happens here. This game's looking very familiar. He has 3 searchers on the board. I play a brand new here, and brand new is going to allow me to find a... I think I just take the Hina here because I'm just going to get back a 2k from my trash either way. So it's just, I mean, it's like the same play because I have Rebecca in hand if I remember correctly. So I was going to play the non-alt Rebecca, and then I realized I had the alt Rebecca in hand. So I just grab a 2k that I trashed earlier. Second effect, go ahead and Tashigi -4 cost to the Sanji, putting him at 2. And then I go ahead and of course use my Blaze Hound to give my brand new, whichever one I didn't play first. We're like, I don't remember. I think it's this one. So I'm going to give that one +3 and then bottom deck the Sanji. And I'm going to swing 6, 7, 8. Beautiful sequencing right there, in my opinion, guys. I'm going to go ahead and swing 6 at life. And then he's going to go ahead and counter out of this one. And I'm going to go ahead and swing 7 at life, in which he's going to counter out of this one. And I'm going to go 8 at life, in which he's going to, I believe, Bad Manners kick course out of this one by discarding a Newgate, I want to say. Don't remember exactly. This game was a lot less close than the other one, if I remember correctly, even though he has 3 Rat Beams, and I believe he has a Diable Jumbo. And the reason he has a Diable Jumbo, guys, is because if you have a Zoro out, or he has Zoro, he has the Namis that he can like boost with Makino, he has Luffy, he has Sanji. There's like a lot of cards that he can have to kind of use with Diable Jumbo. So I think he's trying to cheese me with that. I have 1 blocker, and I have, I believe, 5 cards in hand. So I'm not the safest, but I'm not safe, if that makes sense. He has so much stall. Like, if I go 24k at life, I think he's able to counter out of it, because he has 3 Rad Beams and a guard point, I'm pretty sure. And I know of 2 of them, so I'm like, yo. So he goes ahead and plays Ace, and minuses 3 to the Borsalino and the Hina. And then he goes ahead and swings 2 at Hina, which I'm pretty sure I just let die because the Hina is not that important, you know, at the end of the day. And then I believe he goes... Do I counter out of this? He goes 6 at the Borsalino, and then he goes 7 at the Borsalino. I counter out of 1, and then I block the other one. And now I'm like, okay, what do I do here? He has 3 Dawn Up. I know he has 2 Rad Beams. So I was like, there's no way. Okay, guys, this is actually important. If I go for game here, I actually lose the game. It's because he has 2 characters on the board, and I believe he could have another Rusher in his hand for all I know. I don't know. So I go double Great Eruption, and then I go 8 at life, I want to say. And he goes ahead and uses Guard Point. And then I go 3 at the brand new, or at the Nami, and I 3,000 Worlds the Ace. And the reason I do that is because he has to have another Rusher, and he has to commit a lot of Dawn to be able to get 2 attacks off. And it's just better for me not to do that. I play ahead. I go ahead and play a Rebecca. I try to stall this as long as I can because I know I cannot kill him if I try to punch through. And I play the Hina just so I can try to get cards out of his hand next turn. And I have a couple 2Ks in hand from, I believe. So I think I have like maybe 1 or 2. So I'm not worried about dying unless he has like, I don't know, some crazy stuff like double Zoro or something like that. It looks like I have a Tashigi, Tsuru, and I believe a Bart in hand. So I have 3 2Ks. So there's almost no way that he can actually kill me this turn. Almost no way. If I remember correctly. So yeah, that's the reason I didn't get a 2K right there, is because I'm not gonna I'm just not gonna like I need to have pressure next turn. I know I have the brand news, but I don't want to put 3 Dawn on them just to be able to like pierce the Whitebeard. So with Hina, 1 Dawn, I'm in lethal range. 3 Dawn and I'm in, you know, a great spot. So he plays 2 Dawn and freaking Fire Fist the Borsalino and then the Hina. I'm sorry, he Fire Fists the Borsalino and then pops the Rebecca. Actually, I'm pretty sure he Fire Fists the brand new for some reason. I don't know why he did that, but he should have just done the Borsalino. I guess, I mean, either way, it didn't really matter because this is going to be the last turn, because I have enough to just like kill him, I think. I don't remember why he didn't do that, but I remember for a fact he has 2 or 3 Rad Beams in hand. So I think he could have just gone for the Borsalino here and tried to play out 1 more turn. So he swings 6. I think he just goes 3 6s at life. He swings 6 at life here, and then 6 at life with the Nami. And then I go ahead and just take it because I'm like, I guess it doesn't matter either way. You have 0 Dawn left. And he goes 6 at life, and I have the 2K for the Tashigi. And he goes ahead and then he loses right there. But yeah, he definitely could have just stalled out for like 1 more turn. He had 3 Rad Beams and a Marco. I had no removal, so I actually think he possibly could have won that, depending on what he did. I mean, if he would have just like swung really tall with Newgate and then just like played Marco and pass, I think he actually might win that. I don't know, man. That would have been tough. But yeah, guys, it depends on what I drew. I could have just, I don't know. I mean, my life was also a Lucci, so I think that would have helped out a lot. But yeah, guys, hope you liked this video. Like the video if you liked the video, and join our Discord if you liked the video as well for the tournament that we're having, the cash prize tournament on the 23rd. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace.